And because of that, our world, when it comes to quality and standards, we are going to lose very, very, very important people, such as the people we have started losing in parliament. We've started losing very important people with this issue of mental health. It is really spreading worldwide. So the reason as to why I decided to put this message in my poetry collection is to be a voice of those that cannot speak, to be a voice of those that have this pain inside but cannot really let it out. Maybe if it reaches people that are concerned that can, help.
You see, there is one of the greatest African writers. I'm not sure, it's not Chinua Achebe. It could be Wole Soyinka. I could be wrong, and I stand corrected. But I think he said that a writer scratches his itch on paper. And so I need to ask you something. That you have a very practical experience with mental health. And I need to say this, mental health does not mean, lack of it does not mean you're mad. The two terms are not synonymous. Madness and mental health are not synonymous terms. But do you by any chance, have you interacted with people that have had issues with mental health, or you yourself? Have you had a very practical experience with it to come up with such vivid description of the things that really partake of mental health?
Personally, I can't tell that I've experienced this issue of mental health, but for real, I can tell that I have interacted with quite a number of people with this challenge. And after talking to them, actually I've got relatives, I've got friends, there are some people I've talked to that I'm not really related to and have been suffering from this challenge. I've read a number of books expressing this challenge of mental health, and by this I've got to realize that it is a really big problem in the world we are living in today, and it really needs serious attention.
Thank you very much. Miss Faith, you're very much welcome. Let us also join Miss Faith. Welcome Miss Faith. She has joined us. Miss Faith, you're very much welcome. Thank you, Shatra. It's wonderful. Miss Faith is one of the greatest advocates that there is when it comes to community work, community empowerment. She's a legalist, she's a lawyer, she is also a writer, and I think you're a published writer, if I'm not mistaken. Wonderful, this is the right panel for you. And you found us were discussing this book, which we are launching tonight, a book that is much or less entailing mental health. The themes are quite vivid. We'll have a performance from the writer, from the poet. I think poetess. Are you a poetess? Right. The poetess, but also a reading. Let me first pose it from your side. I need to, Miss Faith, you just come in, but you are a writer. Let me first go to you before I go to Miss Jackie. Mental health is something that we think is light. Some people think it is really light, and some people do not even realize, and that is, I think, the most dangerous thing when it comes to mental health. When someone thinks, this is done normally. As a writer, where do you think, the arts, writing, and the subject of mental health, what do you think? What is the progression? Do you think the relationship is trying to help, publicize the challenge, or otherwise, as a writer?
Yes, thank you, moderator. My name is Abunia Faith again, and I'm an author and I'm a lawyer, and I'm also a team leader for an organization called Imani Community. which specializes in suicide prevention among young people from the ages 11 to 23. So as a writer, I feel like the creatives are the medium that people should use to disintegrate the topic of mental health. Because mental health per se, as up to now, it's still a taboo topic in our society. When you talk mental health, people think insanity. People think you're going to stone them. People think you're going to be erratic. People are thinking the worst before you even say anything, you know? Yet mental health has so many topics, so many topics. Depression, when someone is depressed, they're not going to stone you. They want to be alone most of the time. So there's so many things, and as creatives, it's our duty to disseminate this information. We make it easy for people to understand, because when you go to a psychotherapist, a psychologist, a psychiatrist, they might explain it in a way that scares you, or they might explain it in a way that makes you uncomfortable. But when you're reading someone's story, like the book I authored, I share my personal story, you know, and there's so many, I'm appealing to writers or to people to put their stories into writing, or collections and make exhibitions. When someone is looking at an art piece, they're drawn to something, they're inspired by something, they're inspired to speak about something, something resonates with them. The same thing I did with my book. The reviews are, I read something and it made me understand that I'm also struggling with a certain topic. Yet, occasionally, if they went to a psychologist, they are already thinking, the person already sees me like I have a mental health issue. That makes them realize those tiny details about them that makes them feel like I'm not alone. Someone has gone through something like this. Someone is helping me understand in a layman's language. Someone is helping me understand in a way that can make me comfortable, meaning I can seek help. So as creatives, that's our job, to disseminate this information, to make it easy for people to relate with this topic, to make it a conversation worth having, not a taboo topic. So yes, I hope I've answered your question.
Wonderfully, thank you very much. To you, Miss Jackie, still in the same line and light, but you know, being a singer, that is a very powerful medium, music. And you talked about therapy. And as Africans generally, therapy, especially clinical therapy, is not our thing. Because, you know, that, like you said, there's a lot of stigmatization going on. And like I say, mental health has been synonymously, rather mistakenly, taken as a synonym for madness, having a mental breakdown, and what have you not. But still in the arts, the direction of, I'm sorry, I want to come to you as a psychology, but let's first go to the arts performance. Your relationship and how you try to use your art to, you know, try to help and address this issue.
Thank you so much. My name is Kosinge. Jacqueline brings about expression. So there are some things that we go through that become a very difficult thing for us to express. For example, you could be having anger and you've not learned how to express your anger. You feel you need to hit something, you're building up this anger inside of you, and you do not know you're passive aggressive, you're always quarreling, you're always fighting, and you do not know where is this coming from. So when it comes to the creativity, it puts us in this position whereby we can easily express our emotions. Because as human beings, we are bound to feel something. We are bound to have emotions. There is nothing that should be, we shouldn't be ashamed of how we feel. Be it anger, be it jealousy, be it any form of, be it excitement, be it happiness. We shouldn't be put in a position where we feel embarrassed of our emotions. But because society sometimes puts us in a position whereby we have to put up certain forms of emotions, and with creativity, people they honestly express this forbidden kind of like emotions like anger. For example, you see your child like they're having a tantrum, they're falling down, you're like, why should you be doing this? What? You know? So creativity brings out the emotions that people have been bottling up for a very, very long time. And that's what music as a singer, that's what I bring to the listener. So like you could be this person who's not good at expressing maybe resentment over maybe abuse, over maybe certain circumstance that was not good to you. But then when you hear a certain song that speaks about the same situation that you're going through, there is a relationship to the message, and therefore it helps you feel validated and it helps you feel seen and heard. And I believe sometimes people go through mental health challenges because they feel unseen, they feel unheard, and therefore feeling unsafe. But then when we hear someone that has a stranger that has a certain familiar story through their creativity, you feel seen, heard, and therefore feeling safe in your own bottled up emotion. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. You may not know what exactly we are talking about when we say that. I think the takeaway is expression, room for expression, and the arts generally, creatives have given us that special room. It might have been there, but I think contemporarily we are using the media of meaning the arts, and we are grateful. Shatra, before I come to you about the process, to me, as an adult, as a writer as well, an analyst, I find it quite advanced for one of her age to come up with such a strong subject, and when you interact with the book, she handles it eminently well. You would think she has had physical experience with it. And you know, last time we were having a conversation and she told me, no, I have known people who have, suffered. I have talked to them, I have made research. And I was like, that is wonderful. So ladies and gentlemen, you may not have interacted with Soundless Mourn. Right about now, I need us to listen to the poetess. I feel like, is there a better word for poetess? It seems out of rhythm when I say it, but to the writer. And she's an aspiring novelist, I think you told me. You're working on a novel, so the both of you have someone to mentor. I'm telling you, by the time she gets to 20, we'll have a library of her books. We're looking forward. But ladies and gentlemen, allow me officially introduce once again our little writer, Ashatra, to come and recite one of her, what she seems to take as the best poems in her collection. Right about now, you're going to take the floor and give us just one of your best your best poems. Is that okay? As we proceed after that, wonderful. Please.
There are lots of poems in my book, sorry, but now we're talking about Soundless Mourn. It's got lots of poems about mental health, but for now, I'll be reciting the poem titled Ghost. Sometimes terror has no beginning or end. You knock down the door to my soul day by day, night by night, and until when it was completely broken, did you stop? Every day is night for me, for the nightmares that flood my mind, induced by the cruelty inside the deepest parts of my heart, to the core of my soul is a craving for your end. For all the hurt you have caused, your daylight will turn to night, your darkest hour shall come, and you will cease to be anything but a ghost.
It is so hard. You would rather watch someone mess it up, and you nailed it. She did wonderfully, performing her. There is another book. This is Light of Hearts. Now, you know, that works in various ways, and that's quite mysterious. We were having a discussion with Shatra last time. I was telling her to tell me if there is a relationship between Light of Hearts and Soundless Ones. And, you know, this is her first work. But when you read the two, this seems to answer this, which is wonderful. I find it amazing. I don't know what's happening with this mic. The themes are quite dark, but with a lot of exploration. This seems to provide the light, which is wonderful. So we are going to twin these. This one's here. Shatra, there are young people here that are looking at you, they're watching you. I need you to briefly tell us what process, all the things, the steps that you took to have this masterpiece here. For them to, because if they're not inspired, you've inspired me, and I think you've inspired most of us that are here, really. You are a challenge, and we have to look up to you now. You have handled a subject that it's quite, we fear to handle. You are brave. Just share briefly, what steps did you take to have this masterpiece?
To have the book Soundless Moon as a whole, first of all, I had to go through lots of processes, and the first process was to get to know more about mental health. The moment I got to know a little bit about mental health, knowing that it's really got great effect on our lives, I had to go on and explore more things. I had to go on and explore more effects, how these people are, the things they go through. I had to talk to some of them. I had to read some books. I had to make some research from the people that were around me. That was the first step, and that was making research. The second step was making sure that I can write something that can flow in the line of mental health. I had to make sure that everything I write is in line with this subject. Everything I write flows within the limit of mental health. Okay, I can't say that mental health is really limited, for it's a very broad subject, but I had to make sure that everything I write reflects on art, which is basically mental health. The other thing I had to do was to make sure that every poem I write, okay, you can say a day or a week, maybe a month, is better than the one I wrote the previous day. I had to make sure that the information I have this day about mental health is better than the information I have. Okay, the information I have today about mental health is better than the information I had the previous day or week. And in that way, I could come up with poems that flow within this line and, you know, bringing out the topic very well.
That's wonderful. So, any young aspiring writers out there, you have someone to go to. You're lucky. We did not have such opportunities when you were younger. You had to figure out stuff yourself. Probably try to imitate Charles Dickens, who is far-fetched, and then you have to struggle with marketing. That is wonderful. I want to come to Miss Jackie. I am a guidance counselor, and you and I would agree that therapy is not something that planned people, planned kids, planned bamulekwas, planned poor people, they try to go for therapy, but it's the very minimum in number, really. And amidst all interactions, I'm also a teacher, and I have seen children as young as 3, 5 struggling. And when I was reading this, there was a student represented here for me. There is a subject that was represented here. There is a person that has come for me, to me for guidance and, you know, counseling in here. Because depression is highlighted here. People are depressed. You feel there is that bottomless pit that someone has dumped you in, and it keeps getting deeper and deeper, which is wonderful. What, as a psychologist, which I want to believe you have interacted with the subject quite numerous times, probably more than any of us here. What do you think, first of all, just briefly, is the cause for such situations? Because if it's something 18 years and above, we can understand. They have started to see light. But when it's 3, 5 years, that is quite sad. It's highly melancholic. What do you think that we have such diversified forms of mental health?
It's quite unfortunate that is happening to our generation and especially our young people. But at the same time, it's something that is not new. We are very lucky that in our generation it has lights, but even before, like you could hear our grandparents, they went through war, liberation wars and all of these other things, but because for them they were surviving, they did not have time to even think about them being safe. But now we are in a time whereby there is a lot of stability, especially politically. There could be maybe a little bit of maybe financial instability and all of that thing. But I believe it was a problem that used to happen a long time ago. It's just that this time knowledge is very progressive and knowledge grows. So because of even this new topic of mental health, that people are getting to be more and more aware of people, the creators are talking about it, and that is why we are here. And I think that's the beauty of the creator. And I think that's the beauty of the creatives, because it brings away someone a chronic party animal. So that is the main problem is awareness. We are now too much aware of things that are happening, and so we even see it in the little ones. And I think it's a good thing, because
that this generation, it's not only the children that are in trouble, even parents. They have another competing and competitive parent, television, the media way. And the problem is the media will do it in whichever way, in however way possible. So TikTok, media and societal influences, and you hear someone committing suicide because apparently her TikTok was banned or she lost her following, and it's sad, isn't it? To think that if I have many followers, I've made it. Miss Faith, sigena kuviraka. As a lawyer, a legalist, I'm most especially inspired, but also interested in how you had experience with GBV, gender-based violence cases. Because you see, long time ago, men used to, you had to be sad, to be depressed in a different way, that they didn't even notice it. But also studies show that their snapping levels were higher than women's snapping levels. You hear someone waking up one time and the entire family is gone. And they analyze themselves. You dealt with suicide cases. As a person in that light, in relation to what happens at home domestically, and
raped their child, and after that, when it came to court proceedings, the mother was defending her husband. Like, no, my husband does not do anything wrong. But the girl was 10 years old, and they had become something else. They were 10 years old, they were hurting, and they were going through. And Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, they speak up. They're not afraid to tell you what they want, aware of their rights, which is hard. Gen Zs and Gen Alphas, they speak up. They're not afraid to tell you what they want, aware of their rights, which is hard. There was an organization that had been established by the Judicial Commission called Justice Centers. It used to do sensitizations up to village level, trying to make the law as simple as possible for the people to understand, which is no longer there. They defunded them for some reason and they're no longer there. I don't know what happened, but it's no longer as proclaimed as it was. So you find that people are also oblivious. I know people who go to jail and they're in jail. They don't say growing up. I don't there was so much education about the topics, and by then AIDS was a big problem, malaria was a big problem, and there were storybooks, sensitization. Said not to abstain, but it was everywhere. There must be a middle ground and find ways of harmonizing the two to work together.
I also
Yeah,
say that
thank
because
you.
I've seen it.
Thank you very much. As we wind down, we have to say to the children here, watching and listening to us, that, like my colleagues have said, you are not alone. I don't know if we can emphasize that beyond what we can, but if there is, we hope it works. You are not alone. You are never alone. You are never alone. And the good thing about being a child is you are at a place where multitudes of people have been. It's the blessing with being a child. You are in a place or at a place where your parents have been, some grown-up friends have been, so you can always talk to someone. And I also need to say, it is not fine, but it's okay. It's not fine to have a mental health challenge, but it's okay. It is okay. These days on TikTok, we say we listen, we do not judge. We listen, we do not, because the world needs more of that. You think that you're going to go to someone and they're going to judge you. You do not know what I have gone through. You know? So trust that you're not alone. And that is the only trust that is true. You are not alone. Back to our Mugole. Soundless moms. I want to crown it down with you. And maybe if we have some questions, maybe we shall take them. But I think we are almost stretching the hands of our clock. Shatra, I can't really say how much I am inspired. Miss Jack is inspired. Miss Faith obviously is inspired. And these are people that are, riding in the same direction with you. And so do I, really. I appreciate this. But to a writer, every piece means something to them. Be it a movie, be it a play, be it a novel, be it a poetry collection, it means something. I need you to just tell us what this specific collection means to you as a writer, as a young writer. And also, what is it that you want, especially the youngest audience, to take out from the session?
First of all, this poetry collection really means a lot to me. It's been quite a process coming up with such a collection. And this poetry collection, to me, I see something that when it gets gets a chance to reach a multitude of hands, when it gets a chance to go into hands of lots and lots and lots of professionals or concerned citizens, it's going to change a variety of lives. For I say that it's a voice to those that don't really have a voice to speak out. It's a voice to those that are going through deep pain. And to me, it's something that is really going to help save a lot of lives when it reaches the hands of those that are concerned and those that can help in any way.
Very much. I hope all your students they have. You'll have to agree with me that I have had a very wonderful panel, isn't it? Can you please clap for? We are winding down. I don't know if there are any questions. Are we are there, you have a question? Please come forward. Anyone else? I want us to please come. Just two? Wonderful. Okay. We hope they're representative anyway. Please let us give them a hand as they come forward.
And since you're speaking about mental health in different aspects, feelings, emotions, behavior, and all that, how do I support someone telling me about that mental issue?
I would like to thank you for this opportunity, but my question is, how do I get to know that I'm mentally unwell? How do I get to know that mentally I'm not well?
Thank you. I think those are very wonderful questions. Of course, my first answer will be please buy the book. It is 30,000 a copy, together with the sister. They're both 30,000.
We make sure.
The sister is 20. Okay. I was losing my job. Okay, 20 and 30. But those are very good questions. Just let's use a minute to try to bring those questions to light, maybe. Shatra, do you have a response that I can go like this? Oh, we can say like this. Okay, let's start with this, Jackie.
So the first question, when someone comes to me, how do I help? It depends on what someone is saying, because sometimes you could be speaking to someone who's suicidal, and that calls to maybe talking to maybe their parents, if it's a child, maybe you talk to, you like connect them to a psychologist, a psychiatrist, someone that they believe in, that you feel they are safe for them. But the biggest, I think that the most thing that you can do is listen without you trying to give them a solution. Because sometimes people just want to be heard. You understand? Sometimes people just want to feel safe. So the best that you can do, unless it's suicide, but the best that you can do is listen without wanting to fix their problem. Is listening without wanting to judge them, wanting to giving them a solution. So that's the advice that I could give you. But if it's in like extreme cases whereby it's life-threatening, I think you can contact people that could be of help better. Yes.
How to help? And I would first say that mental wellness and being mentally unwell, you could be sad, you're mentally unwell. You know, you could be disappointed, you're mentally unwell. It doesn't have to be an extreme situation. So for me, the best way you could help is try to understand where the person is coming from. Because as someone who has struggled with mental health before, I don't want you to go and seek help for me. Like, I really don't want that. I don't want you, I just want you to just understand where I'm coming from. And if you can't handle, there's so many people that you can recommend and try and not to be direct about it. Immediately you direct, the person takes it like you are attacking them, like you're judging what they're trying to tell you. So try to find as much advice as possible from professionals. You can actually find advice from professionals and they tell you how to approach this person. And if the person is close to you, try to involve them in activities that they used to like to do. If they used to like to write and they stopped writing, if they used to like singing and they stopped singing, try to put them in environments that make them be themselves, that enable them to be comfortable to open up.
Thank you very much. Shemra, do you have something you have to say about that? Okay.
How to help these people that are suffering from mental health issues. First of all, as he said, always try to understand them. Before answering them, try to know the cause of their suffering. Try to understand the process that has brought onto this issue, because you might try to explain something else which is really not hurting them, but in that way you might end up depressing them the more. You might end up making them more anxious. But if you try to understand them and try to get a better solution for them, then you can be able to help them in a good way.
All right, thank you very much. Then also there is one hack I think that we need to take away. When someone comes to you, personally, and I think other people do it, always ask, how can I help? Do not assume that what you're going to offer is the help they need. Please ask, how can I help? You know, sometimes someone just wants to be heard. There is a lot of effort and magic in being heard. You know, a very, very big thing when you know, just to know that I am heard. Because that is the beginning of I am seen, I am listened to. Now I can take the next step. So how can I? Don't come someone tells you, for me I want to, this life has no balance, I want to end it. And then you run to my mother. You may run to my mother, it's my mother's son.
Mental health is just trauma that is not dealt with, or trauma that has not left your body. So for you to feel unwell, when you feel overwhelmed by a certain emotion, especially on the negative side, being stressed is not a problem, being depressed is not a problem. But if you're stressed beyond 2 weeks, then you're having a mental problem. So it's just something that reaches to a point that it is uncomfortable and overwhelming and it's exhausting. Any emotion that is so exhausting, uncomfortable, overwhelming, it puts you in this position whereby you feel you're having a mental breakdown. Thank you.
My previous speaker said the most important thing. Maybe one thing I could add is loss of interest in the things that you are previously interested in, you know, because people have different outlets. People have different outlets. When you notice your colleague just stops doing something that they really, really liked, or you yourself, you know, per se you like to do exercise, you like to do certain things for yourself, but you can't explain it, but you no longer have interest in whatsoever. You just want to be alone. So many times that can also be an indicator.
Thank you very much.
It's in service mode.
Big and vast challenge as it is very small. It, you know, just being sad, you're not mentally well, but you know that is quite temporary. You could have mood swings. You know, you could have had a very bad day. So, but you need to rejuvenate, you need to bring yourself together. You have to find something. Personally, if I do not read a book, if I do not watch a series, or if I do not watch a TikTok sometimes, but sometimes you know it can also be depressive altogether. So you have to find out what works for you. But also it could be as broad and permanent as having a gruesome attitude towards almost everything. She said, what used to make you laugh? You know, you make a joke here when why you don't understand it? Sometimes you also, what is wrong with you? I also be a good listener, be a good talker, reach out. We are here to help. Your parents are here to help. Your peers, your colleagues, your teachers as well, since we spend most of the time at school anyway, they're also there to help. And if we have teachers in here, please, please, please be a safe place. I think I spend most of my time, I don't have a child, but I feel like I have given birth to very many children. Miss Faith,